Hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm really excited to be joined by my guest today, Lily Mauguen, because she is not only a fantastic real estate agent based out of Japan, but she works mostly with international clients in the luxury space and has actually developed quite a successful real estate career early on. And she's going to be sharing with us today some of the challenges that she faces as a real estate agent based in Japan, working with international clients. If you're a real estate agent who has clients looking into that market, it's going to be a great episode. And also, she's going to be sharing with us a little bit about her success as a real estate professional as well. So, Lily, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you join us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time out of your day. I know there's a big, time zone gap, time zone difference between us. Before we get started, just would love for you to have an opportunity to share a little bit more about your background and how you got started in real estate
Mhm.
as an agent. I know when we first got to talking, you had, quite a bit of success even within your first year in real estate,
Yeah.
while, most agents are kind of falling out of the business. So if you don't mind, would love for you to share that with us here today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually half Japanese and half Taiwanese, and I was born and raised in the US, and I moved to Japan when I was in middle school. So I actually speak English, Japanese, and Mandarin. And I bought my first house when I was 29, and at that time, I could speak Japanese fluently, but I didn't know any of like the real estate terms. So when I bought my first house, I had no idea what was happening and I was just completely lost. And I remember at that time thinking, I wish I had a translator, like someone who could translate everything in English because I didn't understand what was happening. And at that time, I was also a teacher. I was teaching English to preschoolers. And just before I turned 30, I was thinking of changing my career. And then I saw an advertisement for real estate to be a real estate agent. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, this might be like the best job for me because I speak three languages and then I can also help, overseas buyers. And yeah, so then I became a real estate agent. And this was like what, 5 years ago, I think. And I first started out doing rental deals. But then I took like a year and a half off because I got pregnant with my second child. And when I came back to the real estate business, I started doing sales. And so in my first year, I actually did really well. Yeah, like the first 3 or 4 months was really slow, but then once I got my first deal, it was like deal after deal, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's really impressive, the fact that
yeah,
you were able to get started in real estate, and really kind of had a gap, right, between
yeah,
like when you really started and then when you first started, because as we all know, like life happens, right? Sometimes momentum gets
yeah,
broken. So you mentioned you did have quite a bit of success, within your first year as really kind of a full-time, selling agent doing transactions. So what would you attribute to that? Because, there's a lot of agents, it doesn't matter where they're at, that within their first year, they just drop out of the industry, right? Because
yeah.
sales. So what would you say was that you would attribute to your success in finding clients and then actually getting them to the closing table?
Yeah, so when I came back after I had my second child, when I came back to the real estate industry, my first goal for myself was that I would not quit. I would give myself 2 years, at least 2 years. And so we use a website called Real Estate Japan, and that's where we get most of our clients. And I would say like the first 3 months, I was taking different clients to view properties several times a week, but I would never close a deal. It was just like I just felt like a tour guide. Like I was just showing houses to people and then getting no replies, and I would like follow up and they'd ghost me. But then I realized that it was because of my lack of knowledge. While I was giving the tours, they would ask me questions as overseas buyers or overseas investors, and I couldn't really answer them. And I would be like, oh, wait, let me get back to you about that. And I think that it was like my lack of knowledge and that's how they felt that I was just, they didn't have confidence in me, for me to help them buy a place. And yeah, so I just did a lot of research by myself, and I started asking people in my office a whole bunch of questions. I was really annoying. I was just like asking questions every single day, like calling people and be like, so like my client is asking me about this, and I was asking if, of course, I was also using ChatGPT a lot, but that's also not reliable. So I had to ask like an actual person. So I'd be like, oh, I read this online, and is this true? And yeah, I think through that I learned a lot. And then my first deal, when I had my first deal, I was actually able to answer almost all the questions that my client had for me. And then it just went on from there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
you
yeah,
recognize
just don't give up.
exactly, right? Like I
Yeah.
love that you said that, and I want to dig deeper into that part as well because you mentioned like your first 3 months, right? There wasn't a
Hmm.
lot of things going on. So, you mentioned that you figured out what the problem was. You figured out that, the reason why you weren't getting clients to, follow up with you essentially to actually move forward is the fact that you didn't have, some of the knowledge that maybe required or maybe to be seen
Hmm.
as somebody who could help them. So was that something that you gather through like feedback? Were you asking clients or potential clients, what went wrong, or was that something you kind of just figured out on yourself by yourself?
Yeah, it was just something I figured out. Like I would look back at everything and be like, what went wrong? And then I would think like, oh, they asked me this and this, and I didn't have the answer for that. Yeah. So it was just mainly something I figured out by myself. And then I also decided to act more confident because I think I'm naturally someone who is not very confident. And so I was like, okay, I need to like put this act up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna act like I'm confident. Like I have everything together. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You wanna like they say, like fake it, right? Until you make
Yeah.
it in the industry,
Yeah.
right? You want to pretend.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's really interesting that you were able to do that. And then, something else that you mentioned as well was to not give up, right? So within your first three
Hmm.
months, I'm sure, as clients are ghosting you, you're probably going through the process. Were you ever, doubting yourself? I know you gave yourself 2 years right in the beginning. Was that ever like that ever crossed your mind that maybe 2 years,
Oh yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
six
for
months?
sure. I was like, this is gonna be a long 2 years. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this for 2 years. Like constantly get rejected, or ghosted. I'm like, it's gonna be a long 2 years.
Yeah, so what was it that kind of moved you through it, right? Because, sometimes, 3 months of getting nothing, it's quite, brutal for an agent just kind of starting out. So what would you attribute? Was it, like you mentioned, you had a good support system, or, did you just were able to cultivate kind of like the mindset that you were gonna push through no matter what, and you were hanging on to the belief that you were gonna make it?
Yeah, I think it's like everything. I had a really good support system, like including my family at home, people in the office, just a lot of people encouraging me, telling me that I could do this. And yeah, just believing in myself. And I knew like I wanted to make this work because I really wanted to be a real estate agent. I didn't want to do anything else. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you almost like didn't give yourself a choice, right? To
Yeah.
go and pursue a different career and to have
Hmm.
a backup plan. You think
Hmm.
for a lot of agents starting out, would that be something that they should do? They should just not give themselves necessarily an alternative so that way they have to stick through their plan no matter what.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, if that's what they really want to do. If they're like, oh, maybe this is plan B, that if they have some, if like being a real estate agent is really something they want to pursue, then yeah, don't give up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's something that you had in your mind that you wanted to do this beforehand. So, you mentioned
Yeah.
one of the things that you did really, really well in the beginning was you cultivated a lot of clients internationally.
Hmm.
Right? You worked with a lot of clients outside of Japan, right? There's, clearly a big
Yeah.
market for that in the past few years and now as well. So when it comes to, connecting with these clients, what were some of the things that, as far as challenges you ran into, but also how were you able to differentiate yourself from, the other agents who are in Japan who are also looking for international clients that they did end up going with you, even though you were a little bit newer, even though you were kind of learning
Yeah.
the ropes on the job.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I would say the fact that I'm a native English speaker, that might be a big thing because I think that's very rare here. Like a lot of Japanese agents are bilingual. They speak English, but they're not native speakers, you know? So there could be a communication problem there. Also, a lot of my clients that I've actually like made deals with, they tell me that they like how I communicate with them, that I'm always, even though there's a time difference, because most of my clients are from the US, so that's a big time difference. It's when it's morning here, it's night there, you know, just like how it is right now, right? But yeah, so like I work 24/7 basically. If my client has a problem or a question, I will try to answer as soon as possible. I check my phone the second I wake up and I'll reply right away. Yeah, I'm always on my phone until I sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big deal, I think, for international clients, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, so like for us, I think we have like a 12, 11 hour, something like that time
Hmm.
difference. So really there's, I would say maybe like only a few hours throughout the day, right? Like maybe early in the
Yeah.
morning and late at night, depending on where you're at, where you can communicate with a potential client. So, you know, what was like, I guess like the most obscure time that you had to either respond to a message or maybe even had a call with a client that you would say was something that's kind of out of the ordinary, but you were able to deliver that service and they ended up going, working with you as their agent.
What was the time? Probably because when I came back to the real estate industry, my son was 9 months old. And so he still was not sleeping full nights, you know. And there would be times where I would wake up in the middle of the night because he woke up. And then while I'm putting him to bed, I would check my phone. So it'd be like 3 a.m. And I'm like texting my client back. And then once he falls asleep, I'm like, okay, let me call you.
Wow.
Yeah. So like at 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah. So when you say 24/7, that's
Yeah,
actually
literally.
that's literally 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
usually the time when everybody's just gone, right?
Yeah.
Everybody whether if that's too early, too late, depending on people's schedules. So I mean,
Yeah.
is that something that you're still doing, more or less to this day, or is that something that really you started in the beginning to get your momentum going, and then you figured out more of a
Yeah.
system now to maybe, regulate your own time as well?
Yeah, so my son now he's gonna be 3 soon, so he sleeps, you know, through the night. But there are things where that I tell my client because I usually try not to work on Sundays because Sundays I've decided that Sundays is like family day, and I don't want to work on Sundays. So I will tell, but if a client texts me, I won't leave them on read or unread. You know, I will always reply and say, sorry, I'm with my family right now. I will reply to you tomorrow on Monday when I'm back at work. And I think just like telling my clients this, it reassures them that I'm not ignoring them, you know? Yeah. And
Right.
if it's an emergency, of course, I will handle it right away. But if it's not an emergency, I'll just tell them, let me get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something quite simple, right? An agent could
Yeah.
implement, right?
It's like 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah, just to respond to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't take too much time, but it
Hmm.
assures your client that you're paying
Yeah.
that, and it assures them that that you will get back to them eventually.
Hmm.
I think that's what
Hmm.
a lot of people are looking for, wouldn't you say so?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty impressive the way you've been able to do. I would say, working with clients
Thank you.
internationally in the way that you have. And then, obviously something else that I really caught my attention was the fact that you do speak three different languages.
Hmm.
Did you grow up speaking all three languages natively, or did you have to learn or cultivate one or two languages a little
Yeah.
bit later on down the line.
Yeah, so my mom is Taiwanese. She's Taiwanese American, and so I spoke Mandarin at home with her. And I didn't speak Japanese because I didn't live with my dad at that time. And when we moved to Japan in middle school, I couldn't speak any Japanese, but I went to an international school. So I didn't learn Japanese because all my friends were from, the US or Europe or Australia. And I started studying Japanese, or I started speaking Japanese after I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
that's pretty impressive that you were learning a new language,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
After, basically essentially, growing up. Was that, I mean, obviously you mentioned that the fact that you're multilingual helped you a lot in
Hmm.
cultivating relationships with clients, but just being able to speak multiple languages, how important would you say that is to,
Hmm.
just your own, tool belt as an agent, right? Does that really help you open up your market share more? Just because you're able
Yeah.
to essentially reach more clientele.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also growing up in like a multicultural environment, I went to an international school. So I also understand different cultures, and I think that also helps a lot as well with my clients.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's one of the things that I think a lot of agents are missing is the fact that they're not trying to
Hmm.
cultivate like another skill, right? Or another language possibly to help them, potentially get in front of more clients. So it's interesting that
Hmm.
you're able to do that because especially now, and you can probably talk on this a little bit as well as the foreign interest in Japanese real estate is the fact that, you are able to now cultivate essentially a larger percentage of potential clients and buyers that are going into the market. Wouldn't you
Hmm.
agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you can talk about probably, what are some of the things that, people are looking for, right? Because you're now working a lot with international clients. So what are clients now looking for in Japan specifically? Why is that a market that is so attractive to international buyers and investors for the past couple of years and also, right now and moving forward as well? Because there is a lot of foreign interest. So what have you noticed as far as why are so many people going and flocking to that market?
I think Japan in general has just been really popular in Western countries. Of course, with like anime and stuff. And right now, especially with the weak yen, I think it's even more attractive. And I know on in Western media, they always talk about how like Japanese properties are cheaper, but that's like particularly the akiyas, the really old kominka, like Japanese houses, which I actually don't sell. I focus more on like luxury condominiums here. But yeah, I think it's even like the luxury condominiums in Japan. Like I'm based in Osaka, so I m mainly sell Osaka and Kyoto properties, but they're a lot more affordable compared to the US. And I guess generally more safe compared to other countries in Asia. Yeah, and the management of the condominiums are also really good here as well. So you know what you're investing in.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot
Yeah.
of clients, right? Both from the US, I think, also from other like European countries as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Investing.
I think I mainly work with well, obviously from the US, Australia, Singaporean clients, Hong Kong as well. Yeah. Not so much Europe so far, but yeah, most of those countries.
Yeah. So most people you would say are trying to move their money into, would you say like a better investment opportunity or like you
I think
said, just
so.
like a safer area of the world to invest in?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's like a better, it's, I think in general, it's safer in Japan. A lot of people, I know like some of my clients from Hong Kong, they bought property here because they want a place that they know they can move to someday. Yeah, I think yeah. Also my clients in the US as well. Yeah, they a lot of my clients are trying to move here, but it's not as easy as,
No,
the
yeah.
Western
Yeah,
media.
it's a
Yeah,
little bit more difficult, right, to
it is.
actually
Yeah,
move to Japan. Probably a little bit more difficult
yeah,
than the other countries that they're used to.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any insights on, like what part of the US are most clients coming from? Is it pretty spread out, or are there certain pockets of the country in the United States that
Actually,
just
like a lot from California.
a lot from California?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's pretty,
actually, I think most of my clients are from California.
yeah. I mean, it's a very
Yeah,
expensive market up there. So
yeah, it is.
I'm sure they can have a lot better affordability if they
Yeah,
move the money to Japan.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, something else that you did mention as well is the fact that you work mostly with kind of like a higher end clientele.
Hmm.
Have you always worked with higher end clientele in your career, or is that something you kind of moved into now as you start maybe picking and choosing more of like who you want to work with? Because there's a lot of agents that do want to move into like a higher end luxury
Hmm.
you know, niche, right? So, what has your experience been there? Is that something that you have always done, or did you have to develop that later on?
So when I first started, I was like, I will take anything. But then, but then I realized that was not the right approach. Like, I will take anything. That means, um, like luxury condominiums to like the cheap, really cheap, like 10,000 US dollars old Japanese houses. And so that was, I think, too broad. And so then I decided, okay, I don't know how to phrase this correctly. I don't want to work with clients with a lower budget, especially clients who are looking to buy Akia, because I don't think it's a good idea to buy an Akia because there are many risks. So
Mhm.
then that's where I decided, okay, I'm going to focus on high-end clients. And I studied a lot about like these type of high-end clients, what kind of properties they're looking for. And I think that's also why it worked out in the end because I focused on one, you know, clientele, like a group of people instead of just being like, okay, I'll take in anyone. And I think that's why, yeah, in the end, I was able to make it work. Yeah. But yeah, it was just yeah, it just happened. Like I didn't want to work with I didn't want to sell Akias, that's it. So yeah. But there are many agents who focus specifically on selling Akias.
Yeah, and it's very popular, I think, on the internet.
Hmm.
It's a good kind of is it like clickbaity kind of
Yeah,
title, right?
yeah,
To promote
yeah.
they say like the house you can buy a house in Japan for like a
Hmm.
dollar, right? Or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's interesting, but so you did when you first started work with any clients, right? And
Any, yeah.
did actually
Hmm.
like work with any clients, and then did it take like a few transactions for you to figure out that's not really what you wanted to do, and then you
Hmm.
now have kind of capped out your clientele. Is that sound about right? Is that
Hmm.
you actually had to go through the process of working with clients that doesn't necessarily align with what you want to do to actually figure out that what it is that you want to focus on?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I worked with several clients, but I never actually made a deal with any of those clients who want to buy Akias. Um, yeah, it was just taking them on tours and yeah, and then I just realized one day like that's not what I want to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like when you go out there and market yourself more towards a higher end clientele, is there certain things that you're doing to pick up only specific clients and not, other clients that may not fit your, kind of your ideal customer avatar? Is there certain things that you're doing in your marketing that, help you actually cultivate a more
Hmm.
luxury sided, more luxury client?
Yeah, well, basically on the website that we use on Real Estate Japan, I only post properties that are over a certain budget. And also like social media. I don't have many followers, but I do have people who watch some of my videos on social media. But but yeah, I only post properties that are over a certain budget. Yeah. And yeah, and then I've had some clients reach out to me through social media as well. And
Yeah.
then if I do have, I do get sometimes from time to time a client asking me if I sell lower budget properties, and I just say, no, that's not my specialty. I don't do that. But I could always refer you to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there's so many agents out there who struggle with that, right? They struggle with
hmm
telling a client no because it's, somebody that wants to work with you. But if you don't set, like the standard for who you want to work with, it's really difficult to separate yourself and even
Yeah.
present a level of service that you feel that you could do your best, right? For somebody who
hmm
you don't necessarily, see you specifically working with.
Yeah. 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 And I don't want to be, I know like a good agent can sell anything, but for me, I'm not there yet. So yeah, I just want to sell to this type of, I have like my view, like I have this type of client that I want to sell to. And if they're not really in that group, then I would just refer them to someone else. Also because I don't have much experience selling, Akias or any type of other properties, so I wouldn't have much confidence with that either.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's a good practice to have because like I'm sure, somebody who's good at what they do, they can, plug into any industry or any product or any service and be able to sell that just because you're good at what you do, but it's harder to then be an expert in that space. It's
hmm
harder to then,
Yeah.
also protecting your own time and figuring out what it
hmm
is that you want to do and what you want your business to look like and being really intentional with that as well. If you're not able to say no to certain opportunities,
hmm
that are just simply not opportunities for you, but you can, like you said, always refer it out to somebody else
Yeah.
and, be able to create like more of a collaborative partnership with other agents too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting that the fact that you're able to figure that side of things out because so many agents when they're starting out, they don't do that.
hmm
And
Yeah.
they do try to pursue every opportunity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could be hard.
Yeah, which is also like what I also want to say is it's also good practice, I think, to actually bring clients physically to a property and show properties. It's really, really good practice. So I don't regret like in my first 3 months just doing whatever came to me because that also helped me learn a lot as well.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
discouraging though when it was a bit discouraging when I couldn't make any deals, but it was really good practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You're always learning, right? And then that's
Yeah.
probably something that, you know, you could talk a little bit about as well is, other than just what you figured out in the beginning, which is why clients weren't going with you as their agent. But in those first 3 months, what were some of the, like, would you say lessons that you learned to help you become a better agent, even though you were kind of going through the trials, right? And not
hmm
necessarily closing deals. What were some of the things that you learned that you're still implementing to this day?
Oh, I think the biggest one is I am supposed to be the expert in real estate, but because I was starting out, I was just doing whatever the client wanted me to do. I was just like, yes, they would ask me to do something for them. I was like, okay. But then I also think that showed that I lacked confidence. And so what I changed was I would be like, no, that's not how things work here. Or no, this is I don't provide that. Yeah. Or like they would give me their budget and be like, I want to look for this type of problem. Like, and I'd be like, okay, let me try, but no, what I say now is there are no properties within that budget. Like what that's not possible. Yeah. So like being really strong and straightforward and telling them, yeah, I'm the expert here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they ended up working with you, right? It's because
Yeah.
they want to
Yeah.
work with an expert, not somebody who is just going to kind of like push,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to kind of wrap up today, right? I'm sure there's a lot of agents listening to
Mhm.
this that maybe have clients now or even sometime in the future that are potentially looking for real estate in Japan, as an investment, as, potentially a place to live in the future as well. Why should they refer their clients to you, right? What are you doing that's really unique and separate and different than other agents? What really makes you the specialist in your area, and why are agents referring their clients to you?
Why? First of all, I'm a native English speaker. I speak English natively, so there would be no communication problems. I also give a free service to my clients where I translate all Japanese documents into English. This is something I provide for free. And I know a lot of agencies don't do this. So yeah, that's something. And I think, yeah, my clients, they all appreciate this a lot that I provide a free translation for all the documents. Um, and yeah, I just think in general, in especially, I think in Tokyo, there are a lot more bilingual agents, but in Osaka and Kyoto, there are still very few. And I'm one of those few ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then sometimes the clients will text at 3 a.m. They
Yeah.
might get a response. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So so yeah, I think I mean it's very cool what you're doing with the translating of documents because I mean one of the biggest challenges with buying real
Hmm.
estate in another country is that you don't if you don't speak the language or even if you do, documentation and contracts could be a big pain as far as like understanding
Hmm.
right? Or even just kind of getting a feel for what it says or what you can or can't do. So the fact that you're able to help translate documents for clients, I think it is a pretty big deal as well, and
Hmm.
really kind of separates what it is that you're doing for them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Lily,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and joining us for the show here. So, for any agents
Yeah.
out there that is listening that do want to reach out to you, that want to learn more about how they can work with you, or just to support you, right? What are some of the best places for people to follow you on, or to get a hold of you, or to stay in contact?
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. I forgot my Instagram name. Hold on. It's really simple. It's Lily underscore real estate Japan. Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram or message me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make sure to leave your Instagram handle in the description, the show
Yeah.
notes down below. But other than that, Lee, just want to say thanks again for being on the show. And before I let you
Thank
go,
you.
do you have any
Uh-huh.
last tips, any last advice, just anything you want to leave with the audience before we sign off today?
Well, just don't give up. Yeah, don't give up. Keep going.
Absolutely. That's pretty good
Yeah.
advice. So, Lily, thanks again for being on the show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next show. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.